Well, good evening or afternoon, or depending whether you're watching this podcast. It's nice to be back. We've been away for a year, but we intend running a regular Zoomcast, not on a weekly basis, but maybe on a monthly basis, where we're looking at very, very important subjects that affect table tennis. Well, we have a special topic tonight, and it is care in the community. Now, this was recorded a few days ago, and our guests are regulars, Roy Claxton, who is running the Parkinson's UK Championships in August. He'll tell you all about that and his work he's doing in South Asia. And again, another regular is Don Parker. Don, who is working at a care home teaching table tennis for patients who have dementia. But most importantly of all, we have an expert in the field, and that is Lindsay Nelson, a care worker, who's going to tell us all about dementia. So, enjoy the show, and we'll see you soon. Bye. Okay, can I say welcome from Table Tennis Scotland. We've got a special Zoomcast. We've not been operating for the best part of a year since we've come out of COVID, and we intend running these Zoom sessions probably once a month with various topics which you or we can decide on request. Now, we've got a very, very special topic this week. It actually goes across all sports, not just table tennis. We're looking at care in the community through table tennis. We've got some exciting news for you. I'm going to get Roy to give us the exciting news of an event that is taking place later this year. Roy, can you tell us about what's happening?
Certainly, Dave, thank you. In August the 7th, at Drumchapel Table Tennis Club in Glasgow, will be the second annual UK Parkinson's Table Tennis Championship, being organised by South Asia Table Tennis Club and Drumchapel combined. I'm the referee, oblique administrator, and we have already double the entries for the last year's one in St Neots in England. We're running also a beginners section. So we're concerned about with Parkinson's, people under pressure, and we've got a lot of beginners at my centre and also at Drumchapel, where one of my players has joined and started his own group on a Tuesday. And so we thought to get them involved in it, rather than try and throw them in the big tournaments with the better players, we'll sort of beginners, and the entry's been fantastic for that. So we're looking forward to it. There's a lot of people behind the scenes. Leona Brand, who is my sort of stalwart at South Asia, who's constantly on it. She's been sending out mail shots, getting people to join. We put like an incentive: if you enter before April the 18th, I think it is, you get £5 off the entry fee and so on. So yeah, it's looking good, and I'm looking forward to it. It'll be exciting and very, very rewarding for the players that are from England who are coming up, and obviously the Scottish people as well.
Yeah, are spectators welcome, Roy?
Certainly, yeah, certainly, yeah. That's not a problem. I mean, now the COVID restrictions will be out on Monday in Scotland. The COVID restrictions are going on, aren't they? No masks and so on. So yeah, we're fine with that. It's not a problem at all.
Brilliant. Okay, which brings us on to our subject tonight, which is care in the community. I mean, I think one of the outstanding things about table tennis is we know it's at the highest level. It's the largest gathering of nations when they compete at the World Championships outside of the Olympic Games. But we can scale it back to 6 or 7 year olds playing. But table tennis plays a significant part in helping people with Parkinson's, as Roy's been talking about, Alzheimer's, dementia. Now, I'm a little bit confused with a lot of these terms and exactly what they are. So I'm going to bring in my expert, Lindsay Nelson, who we've been speaking to on a number of occasions. She runs a care home in Nottingham. Lindsay, can you just tell for the uninitiated like yourself what exactly is
dementia?
Parkinson's, Alzheimer's, dementia.
Right. Dementia is the main word. Just imagine an umbrella and the word dementia and the raindrops coming down is how I describe it. You've got Alzheimer's, Lewy bodies, vascular, you've got lots and lots of different dementia. That's the word you use, dementia. You also have Parkinson's dementia, which can marry up. So you can have a dementia, you can have Parkinson's dementia, which we have cases at the care home I work at. And as you were saying, with dementia, sport activities are important to keep the mind ticking over. The right term of it, sorry. But keep you stimulated, mind, body and soul stimulated. And as you say, table tennis, I would say it would be a marvellous thing for residents of the care home, because you can use its motor neurons, you're using your arms, you're using your body. And also, if you do have people that you may know who have dementia, if they have played a sport, you could ask that person about you supported Forest, Derby, whatever football team, and they will probably be able to answer you more of the history of the football team or table tennis, and really say, oh yeah, you give them a bat, they're about to do it. Or music, you give them a piano, they're about to play a piece of music. It's amazing to see and watch. As you said, David, you knew a gentleman that you were quite shocked when you saw him, but could have a bat in his hand and play table tennis. That is something, and it's lovely to see those few minutes of realization of what it's a cruel disease, but that's why we got to, as a community, get together and support dementia a bit more. So that's dementia, really. Dementia is one word for all of the different cases of dementia, like Lewy bodies, Alzheimer's, which is the most popular, is the biggest one.
Yeah. Before I hand over to Don, just so for the benefit of Don and Roy and whoever is listening, I was telling Lindsay off air that there's a table tennis coach who sadly passed away in 2004. Don knows him well. His name was Derek Langley. Wonderful guy from Newbury, ran tournaments, ran coaching sessions. I mean, no different to you, Roy, you know, really. He had his hand in everything. It was a kind of guy, though, when a tournament was ran or a coaching event, he was always on the back row, never wanting to be on the front, always pushing other people to take the plaudits. If there was a nicer guy than Derek, I've certainly not met him. Well, Derek developed, if that's the right word, Alzheimer's, and very quickly, he went downhill incredibly quickly. And I was up in Scotland and I was coming home from France, and I phoned his wife, Margaret, who's a nurse, and I said, Margaret, is there any chance we can see Derek? And she said, he'd love to see you, but be prepared because he's not the Derek you know. He'll just sit there and stare into space.
Yeah.
She said to me, don't worry, every now and again, it'll be like two wires, they'll click and then it'll recognise.
Totally.
Yeah. So anyway, we got to Newbury, we went in the house, and Derek was just sitting, looking out the window. He didn't turn his head. I was talking, and Margaret says, you must talk to him. So I spoke to him about the Newbury closed and the Newbury open, and Mandy Sainsbury and David Reeves and all the news, Julie Norman and all the Newbury players. And every now and again, there's a little spark and a little smile, but he just sat there, he could hardly move. Then Margaret said to me, why don't you give him a game of table tennis? I thought, she's going mad. What do you mean? He can't even move off this chair. So I says, well, where could we play, Margaret? She says, oh, we've got a table upstairs. And Margaret grabbed Derek by the arm, took him upstairs, put a bat in his hand, and he was playing table tennis exactly the same as he was like when he was fit and well. It was staggering.
It's amazing, isn't it? It's amazing. Yeah. But then again, with Parkinson's, if you look at Parkinson's and dementia. Dementia can happen with Parkinson's, affects the brain, shaking tremors, speech, etc. And we do have dementia Parkinson's, where you can see the Parkinson's in the person, but also with the dementia. It's all sort of, I'm not going to put, it's sort of married in together in some ways, a little bit. And it's a cruel disease because there's no cure for either. You can slow down, but you cannot stop. And it's interesting to read up on. As an activities coordinator, I changed my job from working in a nursing home to a dementia framework home as an activities coordinator. And I wanted to work with dementia because I find it rewarding. Even as you just said, you see somebody kick a football, pick up a bat, you give them a bat and ball, and they can do it, fantastic. And it's just, even if they hit it to one time to you, that is an achievement. It's them coming out that the person that was. A lot of people will say, or turn around to you and say, they lost their parent or loved one before they die, because it's not them, it's a shell of them. If you can get that person out a little bit, it is amazing to see. And this is where I'm glad I've actually spoken to you, because about the table, you've mentioned table tennis, because obviously if you're doing little groups of going round, I would like more information on that. So see, let's try and get some table tennis into, if my manager allows it, table tennis into our home, and let's see what happens there with that. See if it does give them, okay, they might have to pay table tennis, but it's still giving them that activity. We do exercise in the home 3 times a week to stimulate the mind, body and soul. But we also need, as you said, that table tennis thing. It's just amazing when you said to me, I was like, yeah, I can see where that comes from, because you're using all your body, you're using your mind. I think it's brilliant. And what you're doing as a group, saying that you'll get the gentlemen going to different with the home and taking that in, fantastic, well done. That it's not being forgotten. We're not being dementia, not being put on the back burner, or Parkinson's. You don't hear a lot about Parkinson's. You don't hear a lot about dementia. It's not a big thing that you hear. You should be more focused on them. And I think Parkinson's is a cruel disease.
Okay, right, that's probably a nice time to bring in Don, who is actually putting what you're saying into practice in Preston. And Don, you've been in the wars yourself. Do you want to tell the group about the wars you've been in yourself before we move on?
Yeah, I had a stroke about 7 months ago, a bleed on the brain, which was a very interesting experience. I'm delighted to say that I'm on the right side of it now. You can probably tell on the screen it's 2 of the nerves that look after the left side of my face. Or the simplest way I can describe it, they've got a bit gooed up with the blood. And they're not quite functioning yet. So I've got a bit of trouble with my left eye, double vision, but I've got prisms in the lens here. So luckily I can only see one Brian Clough down there. That's as opposed to, I'd much rather be looking at Deepdale, which for those who don't know is the home of Preston North End. So yeah, my left eye is just not quite right yet. And my speech, I've worked ever so hard on my speech, trying to get it, and I think I'm doing reasonably well. So you don't know what's around the corner, do you? I think you take every day as it comes, and I'm doing my best. But I must say, the care that I've had and the attention that I've had, and people can only describe their own experience. The NHS could not have done more for me. They were absolutely wonderful. And I hear stories to the contrary, but in my case, 10 out of 10. Once I came out of hospital, people, I had speech therapists, rehab people coming to the house, checking I'm doing the exercises, giving me new exercises to do. It's been absolutely wonderful, yeah. So, yeah, but fingers crossed, I'm okay.
Okay, Don, tell us about this exciting work you're doing in Preston, one of the care homes there.
Well, again, it was fascinating to listen to Roy's, what Roy's doing, up at Drumchapel, with the people who, with Parkinson's. and then to listen to Lindsay's, and that was really interesting, just listening to, you know, dementia and you know, you always think Alzheimer's is dementia. It's clearly one time. I lost my father. He was a keen sportsman, so he won't mind me talking in cliches, but he had a really good innings. He lived to sort of 88, but I believe, Lindsay, when I read, it was vascular dementia that my father suffered from. And Jill, my wife Jill, who was a European table tennis champion quite a few years ago, her father had Alzheimer's. It was diagnosed as Alzheimer's. So we sort of lived with it, you know, and did our best to support our parents. But it is tough, isn't it, Lindsay? It's, you know, and anything that you can do, that we can do as a society to help people who are in that situation, the better. And I live in Preston, and the local authorities is South Ribble, where I live, and South Ribble got Jill and I involved, and basically they've got a load of table tennis tables that they're putting into a church hall or whatever, different facilities, and then once, twice a week they're running table tennis sessions, and it's people can just rock up and play table tennis, and they're particularly inviting people, you know, with the early signs of dementia and Parkinson's, and people who are suffering from depression. Anybody who would care in the community sums it up really well. And Jill and I've been along, and what I would say I am, in inverted commas, an expert on is table tennis, the game of table tennis. Dave and I, you and I used to work together, didn't we, Dave, as national coaches, and we've been involved in the sport at all levels. So I do like to think, you know, that I know a bit about table tennis. And I think what table tennis has to offer, Lindsay, I think you summed it up really well. We did a session, Jill and I, and we were talking to the group, and we had people there with dementia, with their carers, and we had a football player there who had the good sense to leave Nottingham Forest and come to Preston North End, a player called Stevie Elliott. And Steve's there, and he's smiling throughout. We did a little bit of a demonstration, and then we asked, you know, does anybody want to come up? And I could see the carers, in quite a few cases, it was their partner, very nervous about, you know, the husband coming up and playing. But eventually, there were tears. You know, we had a few who could not believe how well their partner could play. As soon as he got the bat in the hand, you know, the old, as you talked about wires connecting, Dave, that's exactly what happened. And it was so pleasing to see. And you'd like to think, and I don't know, Lindsay would know better than me, but I like to think it's actually helping them. I mean, it's certainly giving them a moment when it brings back great memories, but maybe it's helping a little bit as well. And the other thing I think, Dave, I don't know if you'd agree, is at the early stages, or, you know, as you know, we're all getting older, I think doing a sport like table tennis, which is not, it's not like rugby or boxing or wrestling, where physically it's a sport that, you know, I mean, I can play with my grandkids, my kids, myself, you know, it's everybody can play it. And I think that by actually keeping it going long, you know, when you get a bit older, it's hopefully just keeping the brain fairly active. We often said, didn't we, Dave, that table tennis is a little like chess at high speed. And it involves a little bit of physical movement as well. Chess is clearly great. I make myself do Wordle. I'm into Wordle at the moment. And every morning I do this Wordle challenge, New York Times Wordle, and I make sure I do it every day. And it gets me thinking of letters. It keeps, and I'd like to think table tennis keeps the brain active, but it also has that little bit of physical as well. Gets the heart rate up slightly, not too much. We're not running a marathon here, but hopefully it helps. And I spent quite a bit of time with table tennis in Japan. And the one thing I noticed in Japan, I didn't really take a lot of notice when I was in my 50s, you know, going around. But a lot of the table tennis is very popular in Japan, and they have a lot of clubs with a lot of tables in them. And there was a lot of sessions going on for when I asked it to be active elderly. So the people in there had retired from work, and they had a strong belief that it helped them up, you know, in the mind, just to keep them active. And honestly, there was hundreds of thousands of people, elderly, playing table tennis. And all of a sudden you think, wow, you know, I've been involved in a sport that at the, you know, you talked about the Olympics, Dave. You know, we're talking about highly skillful, supremely fit athletes playing table tennis at such a high level. But it's also wonderful to see your sport enjoyed by people, and then your sport can actually help people physically and mentally as they get, you know, as we all do, as they get a little bit older. So you know, I just think we've got a good sport that can help. And Lindsay, it was great to hear what you had to say.
Yeah, I think what you're saying there is brilliant. It's your mind, body, and soul that you have to keep going. And you've just summed it up brilliantly there. What you've just said, it is so true. You don't, if you keep them active, active is the most important thing. And have that realization of doing any sport. And you say table tennis is a sport that is skilled, but it's gentle as well, and it's fun. If you knock the ball down the floor, so what? You've had a go. You've taken part. It's taken fun. It's interacting with others, and it's mind, body. Like you were saying, it's mind, body, and soul. It's all that together. And I think that's brilliantly put. Yeah,
it's actually quantifiable, because I have players that have come with me now for 2 years, and they, in Parkinson's, they have this sort of test, and I can't think what it's called now. They have a test where they go through whatever they do, and they get a score. I don't know whether higher is better than lower, but whatever it is. And I've had players come to me and say, my doctor has said to me, whatever you're doing, keep doing it, because your scores are getting better and better and better. Now, that to me is amazing. They started at what level, and now they're up there. And now that's table tennis. That's table tennis, for sure.
It's so true.
Yeah, Roy, can I stay with
home? We do it.
Sure.
Do we exercise?
Yeah, can I stay with you a while, Roy? Because you're having them weekly, so you'll also have that boredom threshold given. Can you kind of just go through how long have you been doing this? Do you get the same people? Is there a dropout? Back to you.
Sure, yeah. I've been in it for 2 years. I was approached by one lady. My son is a level 3 tenpin bowling coach, right? The best coach in the UK, in my opinion. Anyway, I digress. And I own a bowling alley. And this woman came to him and said, look, you know, I've read that Parkinson's can be helped by table tennis. She never played before in her life. And he, oh, my dad's a coach. And I'm thinking, thank you, son. So I went to meet the lady, and she said, I want to play, this is pre-COVID, I want to play in the World Championships in Berlin in August. And this is like February. Have you played before? No. I'm saying, well, look, this is like saying to someone, have you driven a car before? No, but I'm taking lessons. I want to beat Hamilton in August. It's not going to happen. So I went, I'm very skeptical at this stage. So I said, okay, well, you can come along. We'll have a hit on a Saturday morning. You know, I can arrange it and so on. And by pure coincidence, a week later, another girl, totally, they never met each other, from Barassi, which is quite nearby, phoned me and said, look, I've got Parkinson's. I've had it now for 7 years and it's getting worse. And I've read that table tennis can be blah, blah, blah. I bought a table. Can I send you a video of me and my husband playing? Sure. So I got them both there. And when they came along, it was like holding a frying pan, trying to toss pancakes, you know, that level. Yeah. Now, one of those girls, I get upset, went to the Worlds in Berlin late last year and got a bronze medal.
Brilliant.
You know, I mean, I get upset thinking about it. It's so emotional. But and the other girl, the second girl, in the UK Champions, got a bronze medal in her category. Now, to me, that is quantifiable improvement, notwithstanding what we're talking about with this test they do. Now, I had players come to me from Falkirk, from Aberdeen, from Glasgow, and I was doing it on a Wednesday for 2 hours and on a Saturday for 2 hours, which is quite draining. Especially when you're in the club on a Monday and a Thursday as well, and you're playing at weekends and coaching and so on. So what I did was I spoke to Richard Yule, who's the COO of Table Tennis Scotland, and he's really into this big time. And I said, what we need to do is get these people integrated into clubs. Yeah. So we need to survey clubs, will they take them and so on. And I personally spoke to Terry McLernan at Drumchapel. I've got a guy here, Brian Carsons, who was really started playing 18 months ago, and now he's a really good player. He could play in local league. He lives in Glasgow. Can he come and play at your club? Sure. open arms. Terry's like with para and so on. And he started a group there now on a Tuesday for 2 hours. Got a grant from UK Parkinson's. I got a guy in with Lisa at East Stirlingshire. I've got a guy in Falkirk. Can I come and play at your club? Yeah. So this, in the end, I didn't have to do the Wednesday because now they're playing at clubs as well. And I got the 2 girls into my club, which didn't go down very well to start with. I have to admit, 1 or 2 people thought, oh, we've got, you know, these people that can't play very well, and I've got to play with them for 15 minutes maybe. If Roy dumps them on me, sort of thing, you know. But I got past that, you know, and I told them straight, it's going to happen. You know, these guys will get better, and with your help, they'll get better quicker. But they're coming to join the club, and I've now changed my whole ethos of my club. It used to be elitist in that you've got to be a certain level, you can't join. Yeah, I've gone the opposite way now. Everybody can join. Yeah, because I've realised now with my association with these Parkinson's people that they need it. Yeah. And I love the guys. I really do. And at weekends, on a Saturday morning, we play 11:30 till 1:30. They come from all over the country to my club. And as you asked me a question about dropouts, we've had a couple of people come, tried it, female both times, didn't feel like it, and I'll be back, and they're not come back. Saying that, one came back last week, and I'm thinking, yeah, she's back again. But I had a new player last week from Irvine, Leona Brand, who I mentioned earlier on, went to the Irvine section because I got one going to Irvine as well. A new guy turned up there, ex-air traffic control like me, and I've grabbed him. I said, you need to come to our club, and he came on Saturday, loved it. I've just got this morning in the post, yeah, a bat and some rubbers for him. So get me a new bat, Roy, please. I mean, we'll get it tomorrow morning. So yeah, I love it, and my assistant coach, if you like, John White, who's come to Scotland from 25 years in the Middle East, used to be a great player, and he's with me 100% on this. He's not got the patience that I've got sometimes, and sometimes he's a bit too hard, and I have to take a step back. But for me, it's a great learning process because I know nothing about Parkinson's when I started, nothing at all. And I think I know a bit more now. I don't know anything anywhere near what I need to know, but I'm learning, you know, step by step, not to say that, you know, not to be too critical, or sometimes, yeah, be a bit harder, you know, but you have to, each personality is different as well. And the spectrum of personalities within the group is amazing, absolutely amazing, from one extreme to the other. So for me personally, it's so rewarding, and I almost feel guilty that I'm getting something out of it, but I'm so glad they are too. It's a wonderful thing.
Right, well, good time to hand back to Lindsay now, if you can unmute. So what advice would you give to Don and Roy and myself as coaches, because you're the expert in this field? How can we, like Roy says he wants, what advice would you give to us?
Well, I'm listening to the last gentleman. Is that John?
Roy.
John?
Roy.
Fantastic how your attitude has changed, or your mindset has changed to think, well, actually, everybody should be given a chance. And doing this for the Parkinson's is absolutely brilliant. People with Parkinson's going in, and the actual, how you've said, gone into hospitals and they said whatever you're doing is doing right. Keep it up. You've really got me. Now I'll be talking to you later about table tennis in the home, bringing it into my home, because I'm just thinking getting even this little table tennis set and trying with the ladies and gentlemen. I don't know, it is not like your world standards, but just seeing about the ping pong with the ball and bat, and seeing what they can do. I just think, hang on, my brain's going now, thinking wonderful. And Don, fantastic what you're doing. Keep it up, and I hope that if there's anybody down in our area of Derbyshire, Ilkeston, who's anything to do with table tennis and would be willing just to sort of give me a tinkle and say, right, this is what we can do, I can have a word with my manager and get something sort of, get this sort of thing for dementia as well. So I think my residents some of them would benefit to different stages. Yeah, let's see what we can do. Plus the football side of it.
But it's this transference of skills which we as coaches know. Wonderful. What happens.
Sorry about that.
Yeah. I mean, one of the things that you will find, Lindsay, but we're biased, is everybody who I've ever taught at table tennis can normally go on to play other sports well, because
It's wonderful though.
Yeah.
Someone saying that somebody came in and didn't know how to play tennis, and now she's a champion. Wow.
yeah. Right,
That
Don,
is-
you know, we'll begin to wind up, because I think we've covered an awful lot,
Yeah.
and we'll still keep the viewers interested. But I'm going to let everybody wind up. Then, Don, what would your closing remarks be? Would you have any thoughts on anything you've
Yeah,
heard
a couple of
today, or-
things. As I say, my expertise is table tennis, and it's wonderful to see that our sport, you know, can offer so much at different stages of people's lives. And I think we realised quite a few years ago, suddenly, you know, the para table tennis side of things, and now we have a thriving para table tennis scene. You know, we are one of the best countries at the Paralympics table tennis. You know, China #1 at the Paralympics, but we're thereabouts. People like Will Bailey, you know, winning gold medals at the Paralympics, and that's wonderful. And I think now we're beginning to see what table tennis can do for care in the community. And the more, you know, and I listen to Roy talk, and I listen to Lindsay sum up, you know, give us you know, an expert's view on what we're dealing with, then I really do think table tennis has a massive amount to offer here. And I think you're right, dear. Sorry if I'm going on a bit, but I once came home on a train from London, and the two ladies sat opposite me on the train had been to it was Care in the Community conference in London, and they didn't realise that they'd both been, but they had their badges on. So not only did I know where they'd both been, I knew their names. So needless to say, I started chatting to them, and they were experts on, they were dementia. They were the same as you, Lindsay. And I said to them, bearing in mind my father and my father-in-law, I said to them, what can I do to, you know, decrease the chance, you know, to keep my brain alert? And they both said the same thing, independent, you know, they both said straight away, and it was learn a foreign language. And they said learn a foreign language because it's not something I've done before. I was working with parts of my brain doing that I wouldn't normally work with. And that's really interesting what Roy just said about somebody comes along, and as you said, Dave, the, you know, transfer of skills. A good footballer will make a reasonable table tennis player. They've got the hand-eye coordination. So I think, you know, Lindsay, you could suddenly put a tennis table up in your home, and we could have a few of the residents come along, and they've not played before. Well, actually, it could be it's doing them more good because they're using a part of the brain that they've not used before, in line with these ladies telling me to learn a new language. Because I, with what happened to me with my stroke, I've learned the brain is an unbelievable complex part. You know, it's just incredible what the brain actually does. And I guess we're still learning about the brain and how to improve it. But it looks to me.
But do you think from doing table tennis and being fit and alert, because obviously you've got to do your motor neuron skills with your stroke, do you think it's helped that you had played a sport? To me personally, yes, it really would have been a help and got you through this. And look at you now, it's amazing. Because if it wasn't, probably sometimes it probably has helped you with what you've doing sport. It's kept your mind. I don't know.
Yeah.
I just think it's amazing. So I think it has helped.
Yeah.
It's activity.
So to summarise, Dave, yeah, let's keep this going, because clearly there is strong evidence, you know, not just from us today, but from others as well, that table tennis has a real role to offer with care in the community.
Yeah. Okay, Roy, can I get you to sum up on what you've heard today, and for the viewers so they can get involved? Or
Yeah, sure. It's very interesting to hear Lindsay put dementia and everything else under one umbrella, she puts it. I never thought of it that way. I always thought it was sort of totally different, diverse conditions, but I see it now. You put it that way. What I would say is that I want to emphasize what Richard Jewell has said, that we need to get players integrated into clubs. Yeah, the care home thing is a great thing. Also, my niece is in Burton-on-Trent, and she's a manager of at least one care home, maybe two, I don't know. So I know that happens. My mother-in-law dementia. She died a couple of years ago, and she sat in front of a TV for the last how many years of her life, you know, and I saw her deteriorate rapidly. I know Topiness works. I've seen it, and people have told me about the results. What I would say is that if you do get tables into the care homes and so on, get someone along there who knows what they're doing initially to show them the basics. Because if they don't know the basics, it becomes confusing. They give up. Now, there's a group in Ayrshire, based in Irvine, and we had a sort of a filming weekend, if you like, where the local press came along and photographs, and they came along and joined in. They couldn't believe the difference what we were doing at Moss Blown at our club compared to they just turn up at Irvine and hit balls back and forwards, cluelessly almost. Yeah. So we're giving them a bit of coaching, how you hold the bat properly, how you stance and so on. Well, all of a sudden they're playing rallies, and they go, "We're coming back here. This is good." So you do need someone initially, at least, to guide them, hold the bat correctly. Here's how you stand. Here's the basic stroke, and then they will get better at it. That'll be my input on that. Please get someone who knows what they're doing to start with, at least, to say, "Here, I'm here now to help you. Let's hold the bat correctly. It's in a line. Hit a ball up and down the bat, and work from building blocks to that, and then let them get on with it." But it can only be a benefit for sure.
Brilliant. Okay, well, can I say a big thanks to my regular guests, Roy and Don, who've been on this Zoom a few times, and also to my special guest, Lindsay, who's given us a professional insight into care in the community, dementia, Alzheimer's, and which way round is it? Which is the umbrella? Dementia.
Dementia.
Dementia's the umbrella, and then they're all little raindrops below. So thank you, everyone, and we'll see you in a month's time.